Welcome to Friday afternoon Death by PowerPoint. My lovely associate, Charla Stonecipher, said, the first rule of effective public speaking is never to read your PowerPoints. Cue my PowerPoint. So, this is it. I want you to know this was my idea, but I have only one PowerPoint. Some of these other people went insane and they have PowerPoint. It's nuts. Dana, good God, I think he's at 33, 34 PowerPoint pages. It's just unreal. 40 screens, dear God. The man needs a hobby. Here's the deal. I'm not going to be up here long. I just want to talk to you just very quickly about why we're doing this. First and foremost, as the new Chancellor, I need you all to know this. I believe in transparency. I believe that we work best as a team, if everyone knows where we are as an institution. And so really what this is about is I want key people on campus to talk to us rather quickly, obviously, but to talk to us about their unit and the key facts and figures associated with their unit, so that we're all fairly well acquainted. There won't be a quiz, there won't be anything like that, so don't worry about that. It is not the State of the Campus address, because I'm not ready to give the State of the Campus address, because I don't know enough about the campus yet, and part and parcel of this is my homework, to listen, to talk. I've talked to a lot of people, but I'm not ready to give that State of the Campus address. So without further ado, I want to bring on Tan Lee Wassam. I will tell you this, when I interviewed here, I loved my interviews here, but when I saw Tan Lee, I saw her name on the schedule to meet. For the first day and a half I was here, I was looking for an Asian woman. And I couldn't see her. And then finally someone introduces me to her, and she said, yeah, I know, I'm not Asian. So that's that. So without further ado, Tan Lee. Thank you.
I think all he had to do was hear me talk and know that I wasn't Asian. So I'm the Director of Institutional Effectiveness at IU Southeast, and our mission in institutional effectiveness is to serve the entire campus and provide data and research about decision-making and planning. So I'm going to give you just an overview of the profile of our campus today. So just to give you an idea of the profile, here are a few quick facts about IU Southeast. We're at nearly 7,000 total students. Most of those students are undergraduates, 90%. Our faculty-student ratio for the undergrad is 15:1. Most of our classes, more than 60%, have fewer than 20 students, and we've awarded almost 30,000 degrees since 1971. We serve 11 Indiana counties and 6 Kentucky counties. This map gives you an idea of the size of our service region. Just in the last year or so, we've officially added Perry and Switzerland counties in Indiana to that service region. Our enrollment peaked in 2011 at over 7,000 students. Since then, it's steadily declined over the last 5 years. Between 2011 and 2013, our undergraduate headcount declined more than 4%. Our credit hours declined about 6%. As of yesterday, our undergraduate headcount was tracking down an additional 3.7%. Our graduate headcount decreased more than 40% and credit hours 27% in the last 5 years. And as of yesterday, it was tracking down an additional 23%. Most of our IU Southeast students begin their education on our campus. 67% of new students over the last 5 years have been high school beginners. Slightly fewer of our student body as a whole, our undergraduate student body, are new high school beginners, but still about 64%. And as you can see from the pie charts, our 2013 data mirror that pretty closely, with 65% of the undergraduate body and 67% of new admits being new high school students. I thought you'd also be interested in our enrollment by school. As you can see, this is our enrollment by school over the last 5 years. The number of nursing and natural science majors have steadily increased since 2009, while general studies and education majors have declined. The arts and letters and undecided populations have followed the trend of the overall enrollment, peaking in 2011 with decreases in the following years, and the school of business majors have remained relatively stable. In terms of our graduate enrollment by school or by program, that's decreased about 35% in the last 5 years. And education has seen the largest decrease of about 38%, while business has been around 28% and decrease in the last 5 years. For our first-year freshmen, in terms of retention, overall, about 60% of our freshmen continue from fall to fall, so they retained at least 1 year. Our reciprocity and first-generation students are retained at a slightly lower rate of that first-time freshman population at 55% and 54%. In terms of transfer students, our transfer students are retained at a higher rate than our freshmen, our high school beginners. They're retained at about a 68% rate. Our JCTC transfer students are retained at a higher rate than our Ivy Tech transfer students at 69% compared to 64%. Transfers from other institutions besides JCTC and Ivy Tech are a little lower at 63%. Our top transfer institutions, this is our top 10 institutions, and those numbers in parentheses indicate how many transfers we received from those institutions in the last 5 years. Our top 3 institutions are JCTC, Ivy Tech, and University of Louisville. JCTC is by far our top transfer institution with nearly double the number of transfers as Ivy Tech over the last 5 years. After JCTC, Ivy Tech, and Louisville, that number significantly decreases with Ivy Tech or with Vincennes and Western Kentucky rounding out the top 5. Our last 5 cohorts with the opportunity to achieve a 6-year graduation rate are shown. Those are the 2003 to 2007 cohorts. Our average 6-year graduation rate for those 5 cohorts is 28%, with a low of 26% for the 2003 cohort and a high of 30% for our 2007 cohort. Indiana residents consistently graduate at a higher rate than our non-resident population, 26% over 5 years compared to 22%. The 4-year graduation rate is significantly lower. We have about a 9% average in 4-year graduation over the last 5 years. As with the 6-year rate, our Indiana residents are more likely to graduate in 4 years than the non-resident students. So, for the ones who are graduating, the degrees awarded, this is the degrees awarded by school. Since 2009, the number of degrees we've awarded has increased by 21%, pretty steadily over that time period. The School of Business and the School of Education consistently award the highest number of degrees each year during that time period. And until 2012-13, General Studies was the 3rd highest producer of degrees, followed by Natural Sciences, and those two flip-flop in 12-13. So for the students what are our students saying about us? We spend a significant amount of time in institutional research collecting student experience, comments on surveys, various surveys throughout the year. If you ask our graduates, most of them would choose us all over again for their educational experience, about 80%. Even more of them agree that we offer a high-quality education at our institution. Our alumni indicate that their IU experience prepared them for their career, led to a promotion, or they got another job within 2 years of getting their degree. And they also say that they feel a sense of pride about our institution. So obviously faculty are an important part of the student experience, and our students rate their faculty interaction highly. Alumni are satisfied with the quality of interaction, and our IU Southeast seniors consistently rank higher on the faculty interaction benchmark on the NESE than our peer institution, especially in areas of discussing career plans, meeting with faculty outside the classroom, and receiving prompt feedback. They're also happy with our staff support. Our freshmen and seniors consistently outrank peers on the supportive campus environment benchmark, especially on items such as social and academic support, as well as the quality of relationships with the administrative staff and their administrative offices. So what are they saying? Our alumni have a lot of good things to say about us. They talk about our devoted faculty, they talk about our grad school preparation, our one-on-one care, career preparation, offering a sense of community, and quality education. I'll give you a few minutes to read those. I'm not going to read them to you. And then my final slide, we ask all our graduating seniors to tell us about their student experience, just in open-ended comments, and we have collected a lot of those over the years. And when you look at those in terms of the frequency of the words that they use, you can see that the most mentioned words are professors, small classes, campus, liked, helpful, staff, and students. So those are what our students say most often about us. This is just a little look at the profile of our campus from the IE perspective. Next, Executive Vice Chancellor Dufresne will talk to you about the academic affairs direction.
Thank you, Tandy. Thank you so much. Thank you. I need some help now. I need someone to help me keep track of time. So we have 15 minutes. It's 2:15. So when I get up to 2:30, or maybe say 2:27, I need someone to start waving, please. So, but thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here this afternoon. Really, before I get started talking about the year in review and some of the goals we have for the coming year, I really want to thank all of our faculty and staff, our advisors, our coordinators, our unit heads, all the folks in academic affairs. Some of the things that we'll talk about this afternoon in terms of the accomplishments this past year would not be possible without the work of all of our people. So I can't thank enough everyone in academic affairs who have worked so hard this past year to, again, continue to advance the academic mission of the institution. So the common theme that I want to share with you in terms of the year in review, you know, last year we sort of talked about the need for growth, right? The goal was to grow. We have to grow our revenues or grow our credit hours. And so much of what you see here in terms of the past year and also next year is what can we do to drive additional demand to our courses, right? Drive additional demand to our courses, to our credit hours. And so much of what you see here over the past year was really focused on that. So we started out, you know, last year talking about a dean and coordinator retreat. And this was really the first time for all of our deans and coordinators to come together campus-wide. It was an all-day retreat that we had at the Graduate Center. It was, I think, October 25th last fall. And really the purpose of that retreat was to begin the discussion, getting programs to come together, okay, to talk about interdisciplinary collaboration. You know, what are ways that we can work together to grow new programs, right? And again, growing new programs, particularly from existing courses, existing resources, will allow us to drive additional demand to our classes. And so since that time, we've had a tremendous explosion of development. Last year, we had several programs come through. I'll have a slide shortly to share with you. And this year, the APC is going to be very busy. The first agenda on Monday, Ann Allen's chairing the committee, is it's a long agenda, many proposals coming through, and that's good. And so we'll see more of that this year. And again, the goal was to drive additional demand, right, to our classes, particularly our courses that might have some excess capacity. So stronger online presence. We talked about growing a stronger online presence. As you all know, we've got to maintain a superior experience in the classroom. Many of our students come to campus because of the quality education that we provide in the face-to-face classroom, and Tan Lee had some of the results from the surveys on that. At the same time, we've got to make sure that we can capture, right? We can capture students that we're not capturing now because they can't come to campus, perhaps. They may have work and time constraints, space constraints, and so by growing this online presence, that will allow us to, again, drive additional demand, right, to our courses. And so this past year, we've had some great discussion. The Faculty Senate, I really want to commend our faculty leaders for the discussion that they brought to the online. We had good discussion throughout the year. Faculty responded very favorably. As you can see, we've had a big increase in the number of online sections and the hybrid sections. The IU Online Class Connect that was piloted last spring, I think last spring, yeah, this is the fall, time goes by fast. Is it 2004? It's 14, right? So second on IU Online Class Connect, and this allows us to get students from other campuses, and we're seeing that. We're seeing about half of the credit hours from Online Class Connect are actually coming from other campuses. The stronger Ivy Tech relations, Weekend University, last year, again, this was possibly because of a great partnership that we have with Student Affairs, starting an open house at Ivy Tech last summer. We had one in the summer, I think one in the fall. Again, all designed to develop a closer relationship with our community college partners, such as Ivy Tech and now JCTC, that I'll talk about shortly. Same thing with Weekend University. That's a work in progress, right? There's still a lot of work to be done on that. We've always had weekend courses, but we have to make sure that we can brand it, right? And we let the public know that, again, this is another opportunity for them to enter the campus. So we'll have some more discussions on that. The summer school, I'm watching the clock here. Okay. So summer school, Chancellor Wallace talks about growing and growth, right? Growing the institution, and I firmly believe that the kind of thinking you bring to a problem drives the ultimate solution. And so if you think expansion, you'll likely get expansion. If you think contraction, you'll get contraction. And with summer school, we thought it was important for us to think, let's think growth, let's think expansion. And again, this was another great partnership, a team effort that resulted in significant undergraduate enrollments in summer. We had some challenges on the graduate side, but we already have some plans in place. The graduate schools, programs are looking at strategies, right, to reverse some of the enrollment trends that Tan Lee talked about. And I'm quite confident for next year we'll be able to see some different numbers. We had a very aggressive visit with HLC for a distance delivery, and we're now approved to offer distance programs as well as the BAS, the Bachelor of Applied Science. It was a very successful visit that happened about in, I think, April, yes. The degree maps and the EAB Student Success Collaborative, I can't thank our advisors and coordinators enough for the amount of work and effort that went into this. This is state mandated, and our team just did a wonderful job in getting these done. There was a lot of work involved. There was a lot of help from IU, University Administration, but the end result was the campus was successful in getting these degree maps done. This past year, we had the first ever Faculty in Service Day. It was actually this past week, but the planning started back in May. And there the goal was basically to talk about retention. Okay, and I'm going to talk about that as a goal for academic affairs this year. But we spent a lot of time talking about using the tools that we have at our disposal to enhance retention. And it was a very successful day. It was long. It was a lot of content. I really want to thank all the faculty for showing up the entire day. We had 120 people. There was a full capacity. We had to close off the reservations. Reservations. And but it was so we'll do that on an annual basis. Okay, so let's look at, this is a listing of some of the new programs that were approved this past year. Some of these are still in process, right, going through the Board of Trustees and the Higher Ed Commission, but you can see additional bachelor's programs, minors, certificates, and many of these programs that you're seeing here, again, were based on existing courses on the books. And so it's a way to create additional revenue streams, right, by driving additional demand to courses. You can see some of these. We're looking at, again, growing some master's programs. That's one of the growth opportunities for the campus, so we've got to do that strategically so that, again, we can grow the revenue side of the equation. Okay, faculty searches. We had a busy year on faculty searches. We filled 8 tenure track positions, filled 6 lecture positions. We filled multiple visiting positions that I don't have listed here, but probably a number that exceeded 14, right? So it was a very busy year from a faculty search standpoint. And these searches are critical. I can't thank our search and screen committees enough. This is one of the most important things that we do, faculty searches, right? That's advancing the institution. And so it's one of the most important jobs that we can do as faculty, serving on a search and screen committee. And so again, I want to commend all of our search and screen committees for the excellent job there. I keep walking close as this, the remote won't work from a distance, but I think it does. So let me try that. Yeah, it does. Okay. So what are the top goals for this year? I'm just checking the clock now. Oh, 5 minutes. Good. All right. So yeah. So I'm from the deep south, right? But I can talk fast if I have to. So So what are some of the top goals this year? Tanley talked about our retention and completion rates. Retention, again, think about this theme here. At least the top 3 revolves around growth, right? So retention. Today we had the induction ceremony. We have all the students on campus. They were all out there on the floor of the activities building. It was a wonderful ceremony, and I was just looking out in the audience, and we have all these students, right? So what can we do? What can we do? They're here on campus, right? They're here on campus. Let's work again as a team to retain these students. Now we've done a lot on retention. A lot has been done on retention. This is going to occupy a lot of my personal time. I firmly believe that if you want to see the needle move for anything, you've got to continue to talk about it, okay? And there's a lot happening on the student affairs side, there's a lot happening on the academic affairs side, but we will continue to enhance, elevate the awareness of retention. Given all the demographics right now in the marketplace, a soft high school growth, for example, we're going to see soft numbers coming out of our high school feeder populations. So retention has to be key from a campus perspective, first, in terms of enhancing student success, first and foremost, right? That's the number 1 priority is student success. And then secondly, of course, is what this will do in terms of maintaining and preserving our enrollment base, which is critical for quality, right? Our numbers are also linked to quality. We've got to have the numbers to support the budget, to also support quality overall. So retention will continue to be a very big issue, and we're going to talk about it a lot this year. We all have a role in retention, all of us, okay? And so it's about creating awareness and utilizing services that we have available to move the needle. Transfers, Tanley talked about some of the success numbers we have on transfers. We have tremendous opportunity here. We've already started laying the ground floor or the groundwork with Ivy Tech. We've got tremendous opportunity with JCTC. Again, our student affairs and on the academic affairs side, they've been working together, developing some programs for the transfers. We're going to elevate the amount of attention that we devote to this from the academic side to make sure that we have seamless pathways, right, for these students as they come over from JCTC. We talked about online. Again, the faculty have responded very favorably in terms of developing online courses. Now we've got to start looking at strategic courses, and so we'll be rolling out a plan this year to talk about that. Gen Ed assessment. General education is going through tremendous change right now statewide. You can now get your Gen Ed at any state institution and transfer it to other state institutions. We have many students coming from high school with dual credit. We'll see more of that, so they're coming in with Gen Ed classes. So we have to make sure that Gen Ed assessment, why that's so important, because we have to provide a general education experience that's unparalleled, right? That's second to none. And so that's where the assessment comes in order for us to maintain the presence that we have on the general education side. So we'll talk a lot about this throughout the year and beyond. We have it as a standing item on all of our dean agendas, right? And so this will be a common theme throughout the entire year and probably beyond as well. I've got 3 minutes here. And then just briefly continue from last year, some of the stuff that we started talking about last year. We'll see a lot more program development this year. We'll continue to talk about demand for summer. I think there are still some opportunities there, right? We can always do a better job. And, you know, we haven't talked too much about 15 to finish, but with the performance metrics, 15 to finish, finishing in 4 years, you know, developing 3 semesters for our students, I think, we all think would be an opportunity in order for us to achieve those 4-year completion rates. So that is briefly, and I've got 2 minutes to spare. So how you like that? Thank you all so much. And now I would like to introduce Jason Merriweather, Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management and Student Affairs, and Jason's going to talk about what's going on in student affairs. So, Jason.
Thank you, my friend. Test. This lovely mic, whoa, I think it's working. You hear me? Oh yeah, so I have to stay away from that thing. Timer, 15 minutes. All right, good afternoon. Thank you for letting me be a part of this conversation. Before I get to work, let me give a huge thanks and shout out to my good friend and our good friend Lee Staten in IT, who has worked painlessly, especially with my updates over and over and over again to this PowerPoint. So thanks to Lee for all that you have done. Tom, you're okay too. Okay. So we're going to talk about enrollment management and student affairs. And to follow up to Yuri's conversation, a lot of our work is really in recruitment, retention, student persistence, and really making sure that the student experience is reflective of what we profess to be as a university here at IU Southeast. Let's start with a little bit of news on the enrollment update for where we are and what these numbers mean. Right now, today, we're comparing to right around the census number from last year. In terms of head count, we're down just over 4%, and in terms of credit hours, we're down about 2% right now, just a little over 2%. What does that mean? It means that we have fewer students, but they're taking more hours, and as we get into the conversation, we'll talk about why that's a reality and why students are taking more hours and the population of students that we're bringing in that's impacting that shift in terms of who we are. In terms of budget, what does that mean? We are 96, just about 97% away from our budget projection, 93% away from headcount projection. On one hand, yeah, there's some concern about what that means for FTE and how people look at our numbers, but on the other hand, I look at the budget because I'm right down the hall from Dana Wobble and I need him to smile at me when I see him. Let's talk about admissions, what's going on. Right now, as you see, we're well ahead of last year. We've got, this number is actually a couple days old. We've ticked well over 1,400 students now that we're bringing in for this class. We're growing. Chris Cruz and the recruitment team have done a fabulous job during his interim year last year and this year, not even at full staff for much of the year, to keep up the pace in terms of bringing in the number of students we want and bringing in good students. As you see, we're up in transfer students. I think that gap is closed. It's not quite 40. I think we're up maybe around 30 transfer students. The trends are the same in terms of Jefferson Community College being our hot spot, and in terms of recruitment and some of the things that we're going to do, it will be very important that we continue that relationship. 21st century scholars, my friends on the faculty will like this, continuing to grow in the number of 21st century scholars that we're bringing in. And of course, we know that those students are required to do this 15 to finish thing, bringing in 15 hours a semester. However, that's not always a reality for our students. For our students, sometimes 15, 15, 30 isn't it. It may be 12, 12, and 6 during the summer, or 12, 9, spring, and 9 during the summer. But bringing in more 21st century scholars brings you a population of students that when they get here, they're taking more and more credit hours. One of the important parts of recruitment for us, a lot of you had conversations with me, with our friends from the marketing office, with Chris. We've had a lot of individual meetings about telling the stories of this campus. 170 acres, it's great that we have that. Having housing on campus, it's great that we have that. But in reality, the community that we're recruiting to, they want to know, tell me about your students. Tell me that they're successful. Tell me about your faculty. Tell me that they're really, really intelligent. they're great teachers, and tell me what your outcomes are after graduating. And so the conversations that we'll continue to have with you will be about the individual student stories and the quality student experience that we offer here. Want to share a little bit about this chart I'm showing you here and what this is. This is a sample summary of a thing that we have going on right now. Have to give a lot of love to our Student Success Action Team, led by Dr. Cox and Dr. Dahlgren, and certainly our dear friend Annette Wyandotte, and a group of faculty and administrators who have spent a lot of time researching our campus. Many of you heard me say when I arrived last year that I was really glad that I didn't have to spend my first year conducting a lot of research about the campus because this group had done it and done so robustly. With that in mind, this is one of their projects, was to go back and look at high school completion and look at what had been going on with trends in the high schools. Jay Berry and Uric Dufresne took that to another level and talked about how we could turn that into an opportunity for engagement, and I grabbed the baton and took off running like the anchor on a relay race. And so this is an example. This is not a real high school. GPAs and high school names have been changed and altered to protect the guilty or the innocent. But what you see here, if I can get this lighter pointer upper thing to work, these are some different classes. And so what we're doing is we're going around, Chris and I and Yurika will be joining us on these meetings. We're going around and we're meeting with high school superintendents. And we are meeting with principals and counselors. And we're saying, okay, here's the average for students at IU Southeast. Here's the average for students from your high school. Where are your success stories? For example, this high school has a lot of students who are doing really, really well in college algebra, but they're really struggling in this topics in algebra class. One person wasn't too good in chemistry, but if you take a look at psychology, they're a little bit above the average. And then if you look across there, for example, their composition, even though there's only 4 students, that says to a counselor, wow, what are we not doing? Or what can we improve? So the next step to these conversations, there's going to be a point where they're not going to want to see me anymore, and they're not going to want to see Uric or Chris. They're going to want to have conversations with you. And I've asked members of the Faculty Senate to be press agents for those asks. So when I come by your office and say, hey, we want to get you to come to the high schools with us to spend some time with teachers in the high schools to work on student performance and to try to improve their preparation when they come to our campus, that's a big ask from the members of the faculty. And I think it'll make the advisors' lives a lot easier too. And so that's an important project that we'll continue to work on this year. And as I said earlier, it's really just to ultimately impact persistence and getting us toward students who are more prepared to graduate. And partnering to address those issues will make a big difference. Let's talk a little bit about the Quartile Project. Everyone knows what that is. You get emails from me. You see, we present to the Faculty Senate about that. This is, as I said when I came here last year, I didn't want to focus resources on the bottom decile, the lower quartiles of students. A student with 3 Ds and an F may not be the place to throw our resources. However, if we have a student with 3 Bs and a C, if we work with that student, we can probably get them a little closer to completion. And so these are some of the outcomes for that. In fall 2012, for that cohort, before we did any extra work with the Quartile Project, we retained about 54% of those students, higher in the second quartile, a little lower in the third quartile. By the extra contacts that have happened from faculty and from advisors and from members of financial aid, having extra communications with these students, especially the faculty, we've kept just about 6% more of those students. In the third quartile, minimal growth, we kept about 2% more, but especially in the second quartile, we kept 7% more of those students. So that's the obvious impact of a year without extra faculty and staff touches, and the impact of a year with extra faculty and staff touches. Stop Out Project. Who's heard of 483? A lot of talk about that 483 project when we had advisors and members of the community contacting students and reaching out to students who hadn't re-enrolled and students who had been stopped out for about a year. We ended up getting 222 of those students to come back last fall. And that was $536,000 in revenue. We all like revenue around here. Woohoo! So we did another phase of the Stop Out Project where we reached out to 719 students. Amanda Stone-Cipher took the lead on that. We partnered with Kirk Claflick, and we had different levels of communication with those students using Talisma. Yes, using Talisma. And of the 719 students that we reached out to going back to 2010, right now about 103 of those students are re-enrolled for $177,000 of revenue that we wouldn't have otherwise had. Why is doing the Stop Out Project important? Going back to our 483, I have lost a slide. Going back to our 43, there was a slide that is missing, but in that 483 students that we have, right now about 68% of those students that we got to come back in fall 13 have currently re-enrolled for fall 14. So 150 some odd of the 222 we got to come back have returned. So that's a really important part of getting students and keeping them. The mentoring program, really important. I'm like Eric, I'm gonna check my clock. The mentoring program, really important to think about the mentoring program and what that means to our campus. Many of you are mentors. Simple truth, 27.5% overall graduation rate. Tanny said it was 28, so we'll go with 28. Students who go through the mentoring program, 60% of them graduate. That investment is obvious. My ask for you is just to stay connected with the mentoring program. And then one of the big, I won't go into all this, but we're also returning to outreach. A few years ago, our mentoring program they ceased their outreach, and we're returning to high schools and middle schools. Currently, June Huggins has her program in New Albany High School and in one of the Floyd County schools, and we'll be stretching into Clark County next year to do college prep programming in the high schools. Financial literacy. I won't talk a lot about this, but here's why it's important. Last year, IU Southeast had about 45% of the students at this point go through the financial literacy program. We ended up having just about 70% of our students go through our first year financial literacy program. What does that mean? Financial literacy means don't spend your refund check on clothes that'll go out of style, a car that you might wreck, and shoes that won't fit in a couple of years. So what we're really doing is right now we've got about 52% of our freshman class who've gone through our financial literacy program. What do we want them to do with that refund check money? We want them to hold on to it and pay for summer school. Last year, about 10% of the FYS classes had hosted financial aid to talk with their students. We have a goal to grow in 5 years to have 100%, or excuse me, in 4 years to have 100% of our FYS classes inviting financial aid to do a financial literacy workshop during that class. If you're an FYS instructor, please reach out to Sarah Wooden today. Community service, just want you to know we had 8,700 community service hours from our student leaders. That is phenomenal. 31% of those student service hours were by Greek organizations. If you are faculty and you have service learning as a part of your class instruction, please reach out to us and please reach out to Campus Life and give us an opportunity to log those hours and to support your service learning programs. Housing, simple story, we're full. We're full and we have a wait list. What more can we ask for? So that's good stuff. Counseling, have to give a shout out to Jean Abshire here. Last year, Dr. Abshire reached out to me. She's one of my favorite faculty members because whenever I hear from her, not only does she say this is wrong, but here are 4 ways you can fix it. And I love her for that. Dr. Abshire reached out to us last year with some concerns about having a social worker and having support for students who are homeless on our campus. We followed up with that, and we actually have a new staff person who's going to be working in the counseling center, and part of their responsibility will be social work, and they'll have to have social work licensure. Isn't that great? Woohoo! Don't get too excited. I only listen to one faculty member a year. I'm kidding. And then we're also moving. You'll see that the chart, the numbers are a little bit small, but I just wanted you to see the trend. We have over 1,200 counseling visits a year. The way you all can help with that is just please keep referring your students to Dr. Day. Please keep referring your students to Dr. Day. Oh, God bless you, Dr. Day. Because you do have a staff now. Dr. Day also has practicum students from, and I've got 2 minutes left, great. Dr. Day has practicum students from University of Louisville, from Belmont, and from Spalding who come here and they do their free practicum hours. God bless free, not costing us any money. They do their free practicum hours on our campus to see our students and to earn the credit they need to complete their doctoral degree and to give us the support that we need to meet the many and varied counseling needs of our students. What I love about this chart, you see a number there, 899. 899 students have participated in preventative education courses provided by the psychology, or by the, the personal counseling office to help our students to be able to have conversations, to have group discussions about different topics and issues. That's a huge number of students who are participating in preventative health education. Really important that I tell you about the mental health and wellness series that's coming up. be the change. Woohoo, love the green ribbon. Very important that I tell you about that series because this is another great example of partnership with faculty. Dr. Beth Rushoff in biology is partnered with Dr. Day, and they have a host of workshops that will be happening on the campus this year. We encourage you to participate. Doesn't mean that you're crazy if you come, just participate. We certainly encourage you to refer students to that, and this is just a great example of when faculty partner with administrative leadership, what we can offer to the campus, and we have a great series of programs coming up. And Dr. Day has some of the flyers over there if you want to reach out to him or his staff. Last but not least, I want to tell you about the Career Center. 68% of students who come through career counseling are retained at IU Southeast. 68% of students who come through career counseling are retained at IU Southeast. My ask is very simple. Please refer students to career services. Please encourage your students to start looking at internships, thinking about grad school and utilizing these services. We want to get them over into that number. Especially when we look at some of the retention numbers that we looked at earlier in our growth, 87% of students who receive career counseling are retained at IU Southeast. That's a heck of a number. And first-year students was 68%. 68% of first-year students are retained, forgive me. What are we trying to do in the Career Center? We're trying to engage faculty. Trey Lewis and his team have a host of, that's actually a 30-second warning. And so, Trey Lewis and his team have a great set of information for faculty to include in your syllabus, especially for first-year seminar instructors with relation to career counseling, and we would also love to visit your FYS classes. In addition, ACES and Career Services has a phenomenal partnership that has stellar retention rates for those students as well. With that, I am grateful to you for having this conversation. Please reach out, be prepared to partner with our team. There's no success we can have without you all. With that in mind, oh, you can clap, it's okay, I don't know. Go ahead. I have 5 children at home, so I don't get clapped for often. It's always buy me this, buy me that, so I'll take applause. With that in mind, I'll turn over the stage to my colleague Dana Wavell, who will talk about financial affairs, money, and revenue.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I don't have 40 slides, so you can relax on that. But how many of you attended my budget open sessions over the summer months? Raise your hand. A good number of you. Oh, this is going to be boring. It's the same program, so it's not. No, we're going to take a slightly different approach. What I'm going to do today is I'd like to paint a picture for you with 8 slides. I have more than 8 slides, but the first 8 slides are going to paint a picture of the financial journey that we've been on over the last 7 years. And they're going to really represent, they're going to take 7 line items out of the budget, and we're going to try to tell a story with that. And we're going to start off with total student headcount. We peaked at 7,200 students in fiscal 12, and we've steadily declined. We had a big decrease in fiscal 13, and then we saw decreases in 14 and 15. Overall, the story for the last 7 years is we are still up a net number of 118 students. We did also see a corresponding decline in credit hours during that same period of time. From fiscal 12 to fiscal 15, undergrad credit hours were down 5.5%, grad credit hours down 29%, and total credit hours down 7%. Now we're going to look at the line items in the budget. So student fees, which is instructional fees and non-instructional fees, we saw the greatest increase in fiscal 11, $4.3 million, and we saw the greatest decrease in fiscal 14, $2.5 million. Fiscal 11 was much more fun. Fiscal 14, I think, was the year that I started parking in a different place every day just to protect my tires. But we did work through that. And, you know, it really is a lot easier. In fiscal 11, we were able to add faculty positions. We set up reserves for a state appropriation cut and R&R. But fiscal 14, it's a lot harder to pull that money out of the budget. But overall, for the last 7 years, our student fee revenue is up $7.1 million. State appropriation, a slightly different story here. We peaked out at fiscal 9, $20.6 million, saw significant decreases in 10, 11, and 12. We did earn some money back in fiscal 14, and that was through the performance funding formula. I'm not going to show any of those metrics, but we'll cover those next summer at our budget sessions. Overall, for the last 7 years, state appropriation, state operating appropriation has declined $1.5 million. Compensation has gone up $3.9 million. You can see fiscal 11, when our revenue went up $4.3 million, we were able to add positions. Fiscal 14, when revenue declined by 2.5 million. Unfortunately, we had to reduce the budget. Many of those were just simply unfilled positions, but still, it hurt nonetheless. But the good news is, overall, for the last 7 years, our compensation budget in general has gone up. Financial aid peaked at $1 million in fiscal 13, and it did feel the pinch in fiscal 14 with the decline in revenue. Overall, for the last 7 years, we're up $172,000. Utilities got as high as $1,571,000 in fiscal 12, and then right about that point in time, we started really getting very aggressive with energy projects. So we're really trying to reduce our energy consumption on campus through a variety of different types of windows and door projects, rooftop units. I'll show you some pictures at the end. And you'll see the declines in the energy budget. Overall, for the last 7 years, it's only gone up $129,700. That's not bad, considering I think overall utility increases have been far greater than that. With our $7.1 million increase in student fee revenue, we also have an increase in write-offs. Unfortunately, we do have some students that for one reason or another, they're unable to pay their bill, and we have to take the charge on that. So you can see we've repositioned our write-off budget, grew it from $45,000 in fiscal 09 to $400,000 in fiscal 15. Again, overall an increase of $354,000. This is the slide that's affectionately called university tax. The politically correct term is university allocations. And you can see that that's gone up from $2.1 million in fiscal 9 to $2.8 million in fiscal 15. Overall, an increase of $600,000. But we do have to pay for the support services that we receive, whether it's being on the phone with an attorney, the IT charges. There's a whole bunch of things that are in there. Regional Affairs Office. Yeah, we do have to pay our fair share on that. So we're going to do, in accounting terms, we're going to call it a put and take schedule. We start off with our student fees going up $7.1 million, and then what happened with that money? Again, this is just 7 line items in the budget, and you can see we had to increase our write-off budget, we had a reduction in state appropriation, compensation went up, financial aid went up, utilities went up, university allocations went up. What do we have to show for the last 7 years? $396,700, not very much, and really the theme here is a very tight budget. We have been on a financial journey, and this might help explain why it does feel from time to time that we do have a tight financial picture here. So what is the story? We've had minimal increases in new funds over the last 7 years, and on an inflation-adjusted basis, we're serving slightly more students with less real dollars. And I think one of the biggest items that I just showed you is the $1.5 million reduction in state operating appropriation. You might say, well, what about the $2.5 million reduction in student fees? We were still ahead by $7.1 million. The problem with state appropriation, it's not coming back. And the only way that we'll be able to make ground on that is through the performance funding formula. And then most of the net change in funding occurred in one fiscal year, fiscal 14. It was very, very difficult. Pulling $2.5 million out of the budget when we were in kind of a growth mode and really trying to fund things, it was like turning the Titanic. The good news is we have a much different story than the Titanic, and that's all good due to all your good work. So let's talk a little bit about the fiscal 15 budget, then I'm going to show you some capital projects. But overall, the story behind fiscal 15 revenue is stability, stable credit hours. Our budgeted credit hours for fiscal 14 were 147,300. We came in at 146,300, within 1,000 hours of our budget. Budgeted credit hours for fiscal 15 are 146,800. Again, very stable. We had no change in state operating appropriation. Performance funding only applied to fiscal 14. Fiscal 15 was a simple carry forward. And then we did have to reduce our summer session tuition budget by about $240,000 just to align ourselves with the historical revenue that's coming in there. And really the main theme you may remember from the January email that went out from the Chancellor's office to the campus community, our fiscal 15 budget had 5 pillars: growth through retention and completion, academic innovation, special student programs and services, broad-based community engagement, and operational efficiency and effectiveness. And with that in mind, with these two bullets really explain our fiscal 15 budget, we did make the decision to fund budget requests by dipping into our reserves because our revenue was limited. So we did fund selected faculty positions in order to seed high growth academic programs. That's that academic innovation bullet. And really in a summary, in a nutshell, 51 budget requests were funded from the following sources: $500,000 in base budget funding, $630,000 in reserve funding or reserve spending from planned use of reserves, and then $183,000 from existing degrees of excellence funds. So I think this really shows we're doing everything that we possibly can to fund high priority initiatives and hopefully get those things off the ground. And I'm just going to show you one slide. This does look familiar from the summer presentation. Compensation is 2/3 of our operating budget. And so we were able to, with that breakdown that I just gave you, $500,000 base budget, $630,000 one-time funding, we funded 7 new academic positions, 2 new professional staff positions, 2 new biweekly support staff positions. You'll see down here this employee benefit. We had a little gift from university administration, which is nice, a little bit of a rebate on that tax. Employee benefits actually went down $610,000 because of some plan changes. The high deductible health plan is having a very good effect. We're all getting great value from that plan, but it actually costs the university a little bit less money. And then there were some changes to the pension vesting about 2 to 3 years ago. Both of those combined gave us a reduction in employee benefits, $610,000. The fringe rate went from 43% down to 39%. So that's really, overall compensation went up $297,000. You've heard numbers from Tanley, you heard them from Jason, but as of Wednesday when I put this slide together, our overall credit hours, and that's really what we use for budgeting purposes, we were down 0.8%. Over the last couple days, that number has moved. I think this morning's number was we were down 2.3%. We know for every percent shortfall in credit hours, it's a $320,000 shortfall in the budget. So if you keep that in mind, whether we're down 0.8 or 2.3%, we think we're going to have a shortfall in the budget between $250,000 and $730,000. And we just need to wait and see how that all comes out. What I would ask you all to do, if you can, continue. We've asked you to do this before. Try to delay your expenses. Help us out. Maybe wait a little bit if you can. Try to just engage in your need-based spending, and we'll all work together to try to work through that. It might be that we'll have to get an email out to the campus community asking account managers and delegates and supervisors to help us with some sort of reduction in budgets. But stay tuned on that. We're going to be try to remain very hopeful and optimistic on that. What I want to show you now is just a few pictures of capital projects over the summer months. This is physical sciences on life support. We had to bring in a temporary air conditioning unit, but we gave physical sciences a complete overhaul of its HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, which included a new rooftop unit, a new air handling unit. And we pulled the air handling unit from the basement, put it up on the roof of the building. And this is going to be our greenest building on campus. We're going to dramatically reduce our energy consumption just with this work. It was funded with R&R money. Thank you to all of you who were part of that. And if you were displaced, thank you for helping us out with that. We really appreciated your cooperation and patience on that. And we did make some aesthetic changes also on the inside of the building. This is, the official name is the Judge Carlton and Sue Sanders Laboratory for Nursing Education. That was a generous donation from the Sanders. I believe we're pretty close to having that open. Yes, nursing faculty? Are we close? Okay, thank you. Ignore that guy in the reflection down there in the hard hat, taking pictures. And then Crestview Electric, this was a 3-year plan to improve the stability of the electrical infrastructure on campus, working with Duke Energy. And for Crestview, what we did is we moved the supply of electricity from the front of the building to the back of the building. But those 3 units right there, that's our main power supply into campus. It's much more accessible. If something goes wrong, Duke can get right in there, and we'll be able to fix it quite a bit better. But that was an R&R project. We have a new amphitheater funded by a $300,000 gift from the Horseshoe Foundation. The official name is the Horseshoe Foundation of Floyd County Amphitheater. We also put some campus funds in there, but we have a permanent new venue now for the Ogle Center. And the nice thing is we don't have to put up and take down the canopy, which actually ended up being very expensive. But please do drive by and take a look at that. The Ogle Center box office, I'm going to let Kirk share some excitement about the Ogle Center in the upcoming year. Lots of positive changes. We've been working on the lobby now for the last couple years. We now have a box office that's ADA accessible, and it just functions much better, and it looks really great. So hope you all can enjoy that and see that. And then the Hoosier Room, combination of funding that was about a 2-year project. We did lights last summer. Carpet was a warranty repair, and then we worked on the walls this summer. Just a great presentation for the campus. That's oak that you see, and if you haven't noticed, we have kind of an oak theme on campus. So really pleased with the way that turned out. So, and we have a busy summer next summer too, but I'm going to hold that for later. So at this point in time, I also want to mention some personnel changes. Kirk Randolph, as of last summer, became our director of the Ogle Center. Ashley McKay is our director of student accounting services. Melissa Hill is our director of academic accounting services. And Ray Klein was hired as our director of human resources. Please give those folks a round of applause. And Jim Wolf accepted a position. He was from Evansville, wanted to go back home to his family. He accepted a position at USI. And so we currently have an active search for the new director of physical plan. We hope to have that filled within the next couple months. On behalf of Administrative Affairs, thank you very much and have a great school year. And I will welcome Tom Sawyer to the stage. Tom, come on out.
Thank you, Dana. As Dana said, I'm Tom Sawyer. I'm a Regional Chief Information Officer for Indiana University, so I cover IU Southeast, IU East, and IUPUC in Columbus, but I do get the chance to travel to most all of the campuses around Indiana University. So what I want to talk about today is the infrastructure we have here at IU Southeast. We have probably the most robust technology infrastructure here at Southeast of any campus at Indiana University, so that's something we can be very proud of. And I also want to give a shout out to my IT staff about the great job that they do here with the few resources we have and the kind of infrastructure that they maintain on this campus. So I'm going to just focus real quickly. I'm going to fly through this, try to speed things up a little bit, talk a little bit about the infrastructure, and it starts with our workstations. As most of you are probably aware, about 3 years ago, we started installing what we call all-in-one touchscreen workstations, trying to look towards the future and see what does that really mean for us. Today, if you've got a new workstation in the last 3 years, it's an all-in-one touchscreen. It has video calling capability. And within this next year, we should be replacing the remainder of the older workstations on campus with these new ones. So everyone and every lab on campus at that time would have these new workstations. We also are in the middle of a 10-year network master plan where we're upgrading all the lifecycle replacement for all the equipment on the network components, and we're also we're in the process of rewiring every building on campus. The picture on the left shows what we did have. The picture on the right shows what we are after. We have just recently completed Knobview Hall, Ogle Center. We're wrapping up physical sciences today, the new nursing lab in life sciences, and we'll move quickly into Crestview and the remainder of life sciences there. So that will go on for the next few years, but we're moving rapidly in that area. We also have one of the most robust wireless environments at Indiana University. We have about 130 access points today, and we see the number of devices people are bringing to campus growing at a rate of about 25% every semester. So we think that's one of the big areas where we need to focus in the next few years. We think we got the infrastructure in place to sustain that. The rest of my presentation, I'm going to focus on some of these new innovative learning spaces that we've installed over the last couple of years, and we've got some new ones coming. I'll explain those. This is our new writing center that we put in last fall semester. Gotten great reviews. It's used a lot. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, you ought to get up and look at the writing center. We've got the Hillside Hall Collaboration Lounge. I'll talk a little bit more about these collaboration technologies in a second, but that's been in for a year or so. We've got the new math lab over in physical sciences. That's a 52-station lab. It's arranged completely different than anything we'd ever done and used extensively on campus. Down at our grad center, we put in a new student lab down there that's got interactive capabilities with all the workstations. They're arranged in circles. You can see the TV monitors on the walls. Each one of those workstations can attach to the TV screen there, so that they're working collaboratively on a project. These students can actually show what they're working on at any given time, and they can divide up into groups of 4 in that room. We also have down there what we call our seminar room, or it's arranged like a boardroom. It has an 80-inch interactive TV, and that was something that was designed by the faculty and by the staff and by a physical plant, and a joint effort of all of us a couple of years ago when we did that. That entire facility down there has gotten rave reviews from the campus. So we're soon, we hope within the next month or so, we will be implementing this common student work area here in the Ogle mezzanine. It's going to have about 4 or 5 different kinds of the newer technologies. It's going to have some collaboration spaces. It's going to have some all-in-ones. It's going to have a lot of different technology, and it's going to have just some study areas with power for students as they need power more than anything else nowadays. We also, on there, we're putting in 2 new open labs in the physical sciences. They're smaller, but in physical sciences and life sciences, we're renovating both of those common areas today, and those should be done by Christmas time. In the middle of all this, we're putting in these new charging stations also, and in 5 different locations on campus where students or staff can walk up and you can charge up to 8 things at a time. These are pretty common in the industry right now. We're doing that. We've installed several new different kinds of software in the last couple of years, which helps us better leverage the resources we have on this campus, and also helps us to leverage resources from other campuses, which we just recently, this week, we had 2 people from another campus down here helping us with put some of the computers back in physical sciences so we could get that building open this next Monday. We implemented a new student printing process last fall. Students print about 2 million images a year. We were able to save about 123,000 of those images by them being able to queue their printout and then looking at it before they actually print it. See, is that really the one I wanted? So we figured that out sometime last fall semester. It was around 18.5 trees that we saved in one semester. So, and looking to the future, I'm going to show you a short video now. This is our new Eagle Eye classroom, and I just wanted to show you this because this is kind of what we're working on towards new classroom spaces, what we're seeing begin happening around Indiana University. And IU Southeast is one of the more prominent areas that's using that right now. So I'm going to show you this video. You can get some sound.
My name is Michael Hutchins, and I teach. My name is Michael Hutchins, and I teach German here at IU Southeast. So much of what we do when we listen to someone is watch their face. I like it that my students can see me talking close in. It allows them to comprehend more precisely what I'm saying. But I also like being able to see what their faces are doing when they're speaking. The Polycom Eagle Eye Director allows me to do this. It enables me to teach a class at 2 locations at once, yet still create an engaging learning environment for students within the classroom and those who are participating at the distance site. The system uses facial recognition software to zoom in on a close-up of the person speaking, cutting between close and wide shots of the classroom at both sites. It lets students at the remote class location feel more present. When I first encountered the room without the whiteboard, it terrified me because I didn't know what I would do if I needed to write something down for both sites. But when I saw that I could write on a blank slide on PowerPoint, and that would also, it would transmit legibly to the other screen, it was exciting because I could see all these possibilities.
I really like taking the class in the Eagle Eye room. Not only does it offer more classes, it offers more class times, and so it just allows students to really be efficient in their schooling and really focus on what they need to focus on and not have any hindrances.
I like the ability to connect with students that are at a different institution and broaden the impact of our teaching. I also really like the idea that we can expand our offerings so that our students have choice and can say, well, I'm really interested in literature, I'll take Hutchins courses. I'm really interested in film, I'll take Lupus's courses, and they're available all across both campuses. I look forward to a time when we can expand it to all of the regional campuses so that someone in Fort Wayne might want to take a German course from us, and one of our students might want to take a German course from Fort Wayne.
I hope that gives you just a little insight of the kind of things that we have available here at IU Southeast and the kind of things that we're doing. And by the way, you'd have to know that the only glitch in the entire thing comes at my presentation, wouldn't you? With that, I'll introduce Joe Glover.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for being here this afternoon. I want to talk a few brief minutes about intercollegiate athletics here at Indiana University Southeast. But first, I have to tell you, I just got a text message, and our volleyball team just beat Hanover 3-0. So we've started the afternoon off great. It's always good when we can beat Hanover. Our students are every bit as good. So we actually have women's tennis that starts tomorrow, so we're already off to a fast start in the athletic world. First, I want to give you a brief overview of history of our department, just a little bit about intercollegiate athletics at IU Southeast. Athletics here can be traced to the late 1960s, what would probably be described as intramural teams, club sports that played outside competition. In 1971-72, our mascot name changed to the Grenadier. It was originally the Cougars, IU Southeast Cougars. Changed to the Grenadiers in 1971-72. It's very unique, as many of you probably well know. There are actually only 2 other schools in the country that use Grenadiers as a mascot. Both of them are high schools. One's in Orlando, Florida, and the other one is right outside of Chicago. So a little bit of trivia there for you. Our school colors were red, white, and blue until 2006 when we changed to crimson and cream, and we began active membership in the NAI, the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, in 1978. Joined our athletic conference, the Kentucky Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, in 1994. So just a little bit of history about the department and where we've been and where we're going now. A little bit more about our sports offerings. We currently offer 7 varsity sports programs here at IU Southeast. Women's varsity sports are volleyball, tennis, basketball, and softball. Men's varsity sports are tennis, basketball, and baseball. We have 2 spirit groups on campus, our exciting national champion cheerleading program, and our other program, which is also very exciting, our athletic pep band, which is called the Southeast Sound. I'll talk a little bit more about them here in a few minutes. Our office is also responsible for intramurals, campus recreation, club sports, and the campus fitness center. I mentioned earlier that we're members of the Kentucky Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. It's one of the oldest athletic conferences in the country, and if you go to the Yum Center over at the University of Louisville and you look into the rafters, you'll actually see an old KIAC banner. They were at one point in the KIAC as well. Many of the Division I schools were started in the area in the Kentucky Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. Currently, we have 11 members. Membership's changed quite a bit. You can see some of our peer schools on this slide. Actually, we just lost our last charter member of the KIAC, Berea College, who I think we have a Tan Lee, you're an alum of Berea College. So we have a few, I think Chanel Barber is as well. But they ended up going to NCAA Division III, so just lost them. And our newest member is Rio Grande out of Ohio. So that's our newest member in our Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. So what do you need to know about the athletic department and our student athletes here at IU Southeast? Well, one of the first things that you need to know is that they're very involved and engaged in our community. We call it champions of character in the NAI, and it matters. It matters to me, and it matters to our program. As you can see from some of the photos you're going to see here, our student athletes take it seriously, and we make it a priority to really give back through service learning opportunities for our student athletes. They really get a lot out of this, and our community also benefits, whether it's with the Boys and Girls Club, whether it's working downtown and with underprivileged youth during the Christmas season, whether it's helping a Boy Scout troop earn their sports badge, or whether it's working with Special Olympics at a national tournament. Our athletes are very much involved in our community. You also need to know that our student athletes here at IU Southeast are students first. That's plain and simple. No other way that it can be. I know that following college athletics from a national perspective sometimes can leave you with a sour taste in your mouth about the value of college athletic programs, but you need to know that here at IU Southeast, that's not the case. We do it right. We do it for the right reasons. Our student athletes and our athletic programs serve the overall academic mission by creating meaningful learning opportunities outside of the classroom, and we're very excited about what we do every day. Collectively, our student athletes here at IU Southeast carry a GPA higher than that of the average student body. This past year, our student athletes combined for a cumulative GPA of 3.001 for the first time ever. That's all student athletes combined together. We even had 136 student athletes named to my athletic director's honor roll this year, a record number, and the data shows that our student athletes persist and graduate at higher rates than non-athletes. We talked earlier, we also have 44 student athletes named KIAC Scholar Athletes, 8 NAI Daktronic Scholar Athletes, a national award for the NAI. We had 9 students this year who carried a perfect 4.0 GPA throughout the year. A quote in the recent Student Success Action Team summary report stated, and I quote, "College athletes this year revealed a noteworthy prediction of their being likely to earn a first-year GPA 0.26 points higher than that of non-athletes." Another reference in that same report stated that participation in intercollegiate sports predicted a 28.7% increase in the probability of graduating within 6 years compared to non-athletes. So needless to say, we are very proud of our student athletes and all that they achieve academically. Oh, by the way, our teams are pretty good athletically as well. I won't read all of these accomplishments up here, but just summarize them. We have our women's varsity sports have combined for 42 conference championships and 23 national tournament appearances, which include our softball team going to the NAI Elite 8 in 2012, our women's basketball team advancing to the NAI Sweet 16 in 2002. Our men's programs, also equally as successful, have combined for 26 KIAC conference championships, 12 NAI national tournament appearances, which include our men's basketball program advancing to our school's first ever NAI Final Four in 2013. And our men's tennis team also just recently made their first ever appearance at an NAI national tennis tournament this past spring. So we're very excited about what they've done as well. Our national championship cheerleaders have won 4 national titles at the Cheer Limited National Championships in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in the medium collegiate division. And we're welcoming a new coach this year who will no doubt continue that tradition of excellence. We're very excited about that. Our athletic pep band, this is something that I've really been excited about since I've been here. They're now in their 3rd year of existence, completely operated by the athletic program, and they've really changed and enhanced the game day experience for our basketball events. They bring a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and I want to encourage anyone in the room who plays an instrument, if you're interested in joining the band as a guest for one of the games throughout the year. We have many faculty members who help us with that, and it's a great chance to really get engaged in athletics and to be able to play. I'm still working on Dana Wavell, I have to admit. We really want to get him as a guest drummer, but he keeps pushing me off. So any pressure you can add to Dana, I think I speak for everyone when I say that we really want to see that happen. So I encourage you to reach out to me if you could help me with that. Perhaps the best testament to our athletic success is the fact that our team has won the coveted KIAC All Sports Commissioners Cup 5 times in the last 6 years. Just tremendous. The award was actually started in 2008-09. We won it that year, and we've won it 5 of the 6 times since. So we've been very excited about that. It shows that our teams really do represent the best in our athletic conference. So to recap, our student athletes, very involved in the community, excel academically, represent our university well in athletic competition, and what you may be surprised to know is they do this without full ride scholarships. Many people still believe that our athletes here get full rides. That is simply not the case. Yes, we do offer athletic aid in athletics, but compared to our other NAI peer institutions, IU Southeast currently is in the bottom 9th percentile in athletic aid given to student athletes. So no one gets a full ride. A good scholarship's probably between $1,500 and $2,000 a year, and many student athletes don't get any financial aid from the athletic program. Based on our sports profile at IUS, we can fund it, if we could afford it, we could allow 52 full ride scholarships to beat, and still be in compliance with the NAI legislative rules. So doing the math, that's approximately $847,000 at IU Southeast. Last year, we had enough funds to award $121,000 in athletic aid, so it's pretty easy to see that we have some distance to make up to stay in comparison with our competitive peers. So because of this reality, we have to fund outside, we have to come up with additional external funding resources to help us with that. This past weekend, we hosted our 2nd annual Champions Dinner. It was held at Huber's Winery, and we honored 3 deserving student athletes and recognized the 1974 IU Southeast men's tennis team, which was actually our first undefeated team in school history. We also honored longtime coach and athletic director Jim Morris, had over 300 people in attendance, and raised over $34,000 for our student athletes. So we're very much excited about that event and what that's going to do for our program. So I know I've told you a ton of stuff in a very short amount of time, but here's how you can learn more about our athletic programs. You can get our schedules. You can learn more about our program, iusathletics.com. It's an award-winning website. We actually won an award last year. We were one of the top 5 websites in the entire NAIA, so very excited about that award. You can get all the game schedules, all the recaps, scores, latest news on Grenadier Athletics. I encourage you to check that out and bookmark that. You can also download our mobile app that's available on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. It's a great way to stay up to date. Just search for Grenadiers in both of those stores, or you can search for IU Southeast Athletics. And social media, Sports Information Director Stephen Oos does a wonderful job with that. I encourage you to follow us on social media at IUS Athletics on Twitter. We also have a great Facebook presence. Search for IU Southeast Athletics there. And we just recently are on Instagram now, so also at IUS Athletics, a little bit of everything. And of course, you can link to all that information. You can get links to all of that on our athletic webpage. And you can also follow me on Twitter if you want. This is a shameless plug for more Twitter followers. I'm in a battle with one of my athletic director colleagues. I'm trying to get my numbers up. So at Joe Glover on Twitter if you want to follow me and learn more about our athletic programs. We're trying to do more there as well. If you have any questions about our athletic program, I encourage you to reach out to me. My contact info is listed. I'd love to have coffee. I'm very passionate about what our student athletes do here at IU Southeast. Would love to share the story more in depth and tell you a little bit more about what we're trying to accomplish within the athletic program and how you can help us, how we can help you. We're all in this together, and we want to make sure that we represent the program well. I think that's it for my time, so thank you for your patience and everything you do for IU Southeast Athletics. I appreciate it. Now, as an IU Southeast alum, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our wonderful Interim Director of Alumni and Community Relations, Mrs. Lynn Prince.
Before I begin, I just want to say I was lucky enough to attend the Champions Dinner this past Saturday, and I shared with someone in my office, I just wished I would have had that experience during my youth or that agility, but either one would have been good. I'm here today just to speak to you a few minutes about the Alumni Relations Office and what we do. A lot of people say, so what is it you're about? And we've even talked about that in our board. And so this past year, we really worked on some of the things that we really wanted to say were the pillars of what it is we want to accomplish. And the main pillar of that was to promote IU Southeast, to promote the institution, the programs, and the students, just the wonderful experience and the opportunities that are available here. We also, of course, engage and develop those relationships with alum. But the main thing was to promote. Who are we? There's about 25,000 alumni. And as Jason mentioned this morning in his induction speech, about 90% of us live and work here in this area or in the Louisville area. Many of you sitting in this audience are IU Southeast alum. There's about 1,300 that officially belong to the association. And we know there's a lot of reasons why people do not join, but according to a recent survey, some of the top 3 reasons people do join are their pride in their school, their connectedness mainly to the programs on this campus, mainly to the programs from which they graduate, because we are a mainly commuter school. There's a lot of experiences that students don't have here that they have on a traditional campus, but they are very connected to the programs, the faculty that teach them. They come back, they talk to these people, these are their mentors. And so we know that about them. And the third reason, I'm happy to say, as a career development person, that they are also joined because they hope to have that connection to other alumni who are in their area, or to even find new candidates for their own businesses from the alumni. So part of that engagement would be activities, and these are some of the activities that are coming up for the next year. We are having another night at the Bats. We have that opportunity. That's coming up next Friday night. You'll see that promoted next week. It's also on one of the sliders on the main page. Then one of our goals is also to bring alumni as often as possible back to the campus. There's a lot of changes that have happened here that a lot of our alumni are not aware of. So we would like to bring them back as often as possible. One of the first opportunities for that will be in December at the Chancellor's installation. Following the installation, there will be a reception, and we will be inviting all alumni to that. There will also be the homecoming. We hope to have some alumni activities prior to the homecoming itself on Saturday, February 14th. There will be the Chancellor's Medallion, and always in April we have a distinguished alumni day. We have a luncheon where we honor one distinguished alumni and then an alumni from each of the schools. And then we'll have our second annual golf tournament in May, May 29th. Another way that we hope, and I've already talked to some faculty about this, and I'm hoping that the alumni office will continue to work with this, with the faculty on having alumni involved in advisory boards or in positions where they get to connect with our current students. Because there is nothing more effective to the retention of students than for them to know how they're going to reach their end goal and what is available to them when they graduate. And we find that out, students find that out from people who have reached those goals. And when they know somebody who has graduated from IU Southeast has reached those goals and they can talk to them, then they are going to be more, it's going to be more confirmed in their minds that it's a possibility for them. So definitely we'd like to have more alumni involved in that. And of course, support. Support for our students, getting them involved. And we recently had the opportunity to award 25 $1,000 scholarships to students who, based mainly on their involvement on campus, their GPA, and it was, they were all awarded to people who had reached those 30, 60, and 90 credit hour marks within their programs on their way to graduation. So, in closing, I just want to say, yes, it is about promotion. And as if you were at induction this morning and you read that affirmation at the end of induction, one of the things that we said in that was, we are IU Southeast. And that's what alumni are. And that's what each one of you are. That's what I feel I am every time I walk anywhere in a store, wherever I am. I am IU Southeast. Thank you. And our next speaker would be Rob Canning, who is our development officer.
Thanks. Good afternoon. I was going to begin by congratulating everyone on staying awake through over 100 PowerPoint slides. But now that I can see you, I can see we've lost a lot of people. I won't mention any names, though. Stephanie. My name's Rob Koenig. I'm a development officer in the Office of Development. I've been at IU Southeast for almost a year now. I love working here. I've been in fundraising for about 15 years. It started when I was a nice guy and took an interim position as an annual fund manager, and little did I know it would lead to a new career path. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to talk about our program today. Hit the wrong button. There we go. As Lynn mentioned, our alumni base is about 25,000. To fundraising, that's our natural constituency. Annually, we have about 2,000 donors. All in all, lifetime, we've had 10,000 donors to our program. 4,600 of those have an IU Southeast degree. 5,400 of those have any IU degree. And that means 46%, or nearly half, have neither. That might be a surprise to you. There's a few reasons for that. One is that we get a lot of gifts in honor or in memory of someone, and that comes from a lot of non-alumni. Another is that many community members who didn't graduate from IU find a lot of value in our campus and our programs, and they've been very generous to us. And another important reason is that overall we're a relatively young fundraising program. Consider that the average age of a first-time donor to their alma mater is 43 years old. That would mean if someone was traditional aged, they would have been a 1993 graduate here and be about 43 years old today. 64% of our graduates have graduated since then. So if you consider a lot of nonprofit organizations across the country have an average age of a donor of about 75, you can see that we're a really young program. If you think of your own church or a local church, that might be the case there. The point is our fundraising program is really positioned to grow a lot in the coming years as more of our graduates become giving age and have more disposable income. In 2013, $338 billion were donated to nonprofit organizations across the US. 5% of that came from corporations, 15% from foundations, and 80% from individuals. Our program is about 50-50 between foundations and individuals over the last 10 years. If you consider, here we are sitting in the Ogle Center. That naming award was from a foundation, the Paul Ogle Foundation. Dana mentioned we have the Horseshoe Amphitheater being constructed right now. The venues in the Ogle Center are the STEM, Stiefel, and Robinson theaters. And across campus, of course, you know about the Sanders Financial Markets Lab, the Nursing Lab, and the Sanders Speaker Series. So we've had a lot of tremendous, generous support from the community. Here's our last 5 years of giving history. In a year when we don't secure a major or planned gift, our giving is about 2,000 donors and $500,000, but you can see that it fluctuates a lot. It fluctuates when we do secure a major gift, such as last year or 2013. A standard fundraising program is sort of structured like this. You have the annual fund level, which is the lower giving level, a mid-level as people rise up the ladder, and then major and planned gifts, which a lot of times we consider $25,000 and over. This structure is explained by the 80-20 rule a lot. 80% of the donors give 20% of the money and vice versa. More and more programs are seeing a 90-10 split. Our structure is a little different. This is our model within the IU university system. You can see the IU Foundation handles the annual giving level. That's a great benefit for us, and it frees us up to focus on the mid-level and high-level donations. When the foundation handles that lower annual giving level, that's a major benefit for us. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money to do the telefund, the email, the direct mail at that level. They do acquisition. That means they try to convert graduates to become donors for the first time, and those initiatives lose money in the first 3 or 4 years. So by them covering that, we don't have to do that, and we can focus on working with our major donors to think big. And Chancellor Wallace has been out in the community already talking to people to think big, and that's what we're going to do. And in many ways, it's a perfect time to think big. The Indiana University Bicentennial Capital Campaign is going to begin this year. That's going to be a multi-billion-dollar system-wide campaign that we're going to be a part of. Add to that, we know the Bridges project in our area will be completed in 2016. And I know you probably agree that that's going to be a huge, huge deal for our campus. So what is thinking big? Maybe it's new majors and programs to meet economic demands. Maybe it's new campus facilities to serve current students and attract a whole new market share of students. Maybe it's even a new state-of-the-art convention center on our campus to serve the whole region and to serve our athletics department. Donors and key leaders in this area want to have that conversation with us, and really it's a perfect time. It could be that our campus is on the cusp of becoming the hub of southern Indiana and maybe even the north part of Metro Louisville. So what's coming up for our program? We have a solid donor communication plan set for this year. We have many events coming up this fall that will introduce Chancellor Wallace to a lot of our key constituents. We're going to hold a reception in October before an Ogle Center event. Of course, we have Dr. Wallace's installation in December and a lot of surrounding events with that. And our flagship fundraising event for the year, the Chancellor's Medallion Dinner, has been moved to the spring. We're also planning several mid-level direct mail solicitations for scholarships this fall. I'd like to remind everyone here that we do work for a nonprofit organization, so everyone here can fundraise and feel free to do so. If someone ever comes up to you and has an idea or tells you how you should run your program or what you could do, and sometimes those people can be annoying, but the good thing you can say is, well, what would you like to invest in that? And see if they'll put their money where their mouth is. If they do, please contact us because we can make it happen. Well, that's it from our development office. Again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to tell you about our program. Our office is myself, and Hannah Schuler is our development assistant. You can always reach us at extension 2564. We're here to serve donors, and we're here to serve you as you work with donors as well. So thanks very much. Next up is Mr. Kirk Randolph.
Hi, everybody. Was that for me, or do you know that I'm the last speaker? Welcome to the Ogle Center, and we're so delighted to have you all here for a great start to our school year. Also, I hope you had a chance to look around the lobby to see some of our renovations. We're not quite done, but that gives you a reason to come back in a few weeks and come to one of our performances to see everything. At this time, I'd like to welcome two new staff members to our team. Ken Atkins, who was a longtime employee in the music and theater office, is now our marketing manager. And in the lobby, there is a table that has our season brochures. If you haven't seen one of these, I encourage you to pick up many copies and take it to all your friends. Tell them to buy some tickets. Also, I'd like to welcome A.D. Stone Cipher to our team as our interim ticket office manager. A.D. brings some experience from the Broadway series in Louisville, and we're delighted to have him. I want to give a quick shout out to all of my team, Jay Moore, Derek Young, Joey Leeser. We have some help in our box office, or in our tech booth from my friends in theater, Herb Caldwell and Rebecca. I'm just so delighted to have you all here. And now, I've been asked to talk about our season in less than 5 minutes. I've already used up one of those minutes. So, with my apologies to the great doo-wop group, the Crew Cuts, here we go. Hit it, maestro. Hey, nani ding dong, a lang, boom ba do ba doo ba day. Life could be a dream if we could take you up to paradise up above. If you would tell us it's the Ogle Center you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. Shaboom, here's hoping we'll meet again. Life could be a dream if you would come to see the Ogle Center presents the Nashville Nights, the Louisville Orchestra too. Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Now, every time you come to Ogle, you will see fantastic shows. We start the year with the comedy and magic of the great Chipper Lowell. Oh, life could be a dream if you could fly me to the moon up above and hear Brian Anthony sing songs that you love as he celebrates Sinatra. Shaboom, shaboom, yada da 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 da, shaboom, shaboom, yada da 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 da, shaboom, shaboom, yada da 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 da, shaboom. Shaboom, yada da 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 da, shaboom. The Yellow plays Stravinsky's Firebird. Music presents Commonwealth Brass. The theater department with me, Blair Williams, Queen M. Once upon a mattress. Oh, Daly and Vincent, the Bluegrass Stars are back by popular demand. The concert choir and community chorus, followed by our Youth Southeast Concert Band. The Eldo plays Schubert and Mendelssohn. I play an IUS orchestra. Holiday shows you won't want to miss, unless you're vacationing in Florida. To start 2015, the LO plays Mozart's music with pizzazz. New Dynamic records Lindsey Goodman on flute. The Balsam Range is bluegrass gospel folk jazz. Valentine's Day, the hot sardines are a jazz treat for all our fans. The concert band presents Winter Pop's New Millennium. Clap your hands. Oh, Broadway by Jerry. Charity Chamber plays on the Ides of March. IU Southeast Fabulous Theater Department presents Angels in America Part 1. I'm almost done singing my song, and I know Chancellor Ray is glad. The music department's free concert shows, the boxcars, the vandals I'd like to add. Oh, come to the Ogle and purchase your subscriptions today. I hope that you liked my song, and now back to Chancellor Ray.
I know this is a drug-free campus, but I really would like a little of what he's smoking. Let's have a big round of applause for our presenters and Kirk. Come on. There you go. Thank you. Very good. I am all that stands between you and a little refreshments. We drop a tea or something out there, I'm sure there is, or something. Charla, is there tea and cookies or something? We don't know. We don't know what there is out there. Charla, she's great. Okay, shared governance. Shared governance means that we're all in this together. That's staff, faculty, administrators. You have seen where we are. You have seen the highs, seen the lows. You've seen enrollment figures. You've seen retention figures. You've seen graduation figures. The deal is this. We are where we are, as one of my grandsons says, it is what it is. We are a very, very, very solid institution. I have said this in the press, and I've said this to a number of you. We've got good bones here. Now, we've got to do a little correcting. We don't do correcting from the top down. Okay, we're going to get together. I had a great meeting yesterday with, has Jay Barry snuck out yet? Is he still here? Do I see him? He snuck out already. Oh, dear God. Well, I had a very good meeting with Faculty Senate leadership group. He's probably eating all the cookies out there right now. And we're on board here. We have a solid team of people, and that's professional staff, administrators, faculty. And what we're going to do is make this institution even stronger. We need input from everyone. We will have a series of the dreaded task forces, I know, but we will have a series of committees, we will have a series of discussions where we talk about, okay, how do we market differently? How do we do some things differently? How do we get our graduate population trending the right way? How do we get our undergraduate population trending the right way? But we're going to do that together. We have very skilled and gifted people, and Kirk, on this campus. And we are going to be an even stronger institution. We're going to be a major player in, it's even hard for me to say, Kentuckiana. But so that's what we're going to do. We owe it to this area, we owe it to the future generations, we owe it to our students, we owe it to ourselves to become even more efficient and effective. And we're going to do that together. Didn't have a lot of time for questions. It was death by PowerPoint, I know that. But I wanted to do this for transparency's sake. I want you all to know where we are. But as we leave and we go out there and have whatever we're going to have, tea, cookies, Charlie's sandwiches, I'm not certain what it's going to be. Once you get out there, why don't you meet the people and start talking to them who presented today and ask some more questions? This isn't my State of the Campus address. This has helped me a great deal figure out a few things, and I'm going to be working on that State of the Campus address, which will be September 11th. Sounds a little ominous, but there you have it. But I'm looking forward to working with everyone here. I'm looking forward to making this an even better institution with your help. We are on solid ground, and we're going to be even better. So I want to thank you for all the welcomes you've given me. It's been absolutely phenomenal to move to this area. We're enjoying it. My wife and I are having a good time today. I've got grandbabies in, and they're terrorizing, I think, western Louisville today, so that's okay. But I'm just really looking forward to getting to know you all and getting to work with you all as we make this even better. So without further ado, let's go get tea and cookies or whatever. Thank you all very much.